call the public hearing for the Hammond City Council on January 7, 2014 to order. Roll call, please.
Johnny Blunt.
Here.
Jason Hood.
Here.
Bobby Martin.
Here.
Lamar Marshall.
Here.
Mike Williams.
Here. Okay, first item, an ordinance to transfer $31,680 from court-awarded fund to account number 100-201-00-540167 to purchase combat equipment for the police department. Chief Duvall.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
As you may remember, this is, of course, a carryover from the last 2 weeks. For those who may not know what it's about, it is equipment that we want to purchase for what we call, hopefully we never need, but what we call in the event of an active shooter, which is what commonly known as people going into schools or businesses and shooting at people and killing people. This consists of some vests. It's not bulletproof vests, but it's vests that has carriers where they can put extra ammunition. And it also, one of the things that we're buying is extra clips that would hold the ammunition, of course. And then there would be shields that are bulletproof shields that the officer would be able to use that could be able to go in and confront the shooter or either go in and maybe rescue somebody that needs to get out.
Is this like a 6-foot shield, or is it?
I'm sorry?
How tall is the shield?
It's a medium shield. I'm going to say it's about probably 4 foot.
Okay. Any other questions? Public questions or comments on this item?
By the way, I would like to add that this is coming from drug money that we have seized over a period of time from drug dealers. So this is not any extra expense for citizens, and it currently doesn't come out of the current budget.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, number 2, an ordinance to adopt the Unified Development Code, UDC, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict therewith. PC 2013-5-1 recommended approval by Planning, Zoning Commission, and the Board of Adjustments. Mr. Taylor.
That's a short little list of a few amendments that would need to be made after review by Andre and getting back together with the Tangipahoa Home Builders Association. Just a few real minor little tweaks. So a couple of them were some just typos and real easy fixes. So one was Article 1.4. The effective date needs to be included, but that's based on council's decision whenever y'all have this go into effect. 1.10 on the repealed ordinances. Andre says it looks like Article 8.1 entirely replaces Chapter 17.3 in the Book of Ordinances, so they should also be repealed. Let's see. Article 2.4.3a, line 3, replace "the" with "than." See, Article 4.1.5e, under tree preservation. After meeting with the Home Builder Association, they wanted to include exemptions because there are exemptions for some of our tree preservation stuff that are also included in Chapter 9. On page 9-15, we altered the definition of environmentally sensitive area to kind of simplify it. We simplified it down to just specifying if it's protected by federal, state, or local government, it's an environmentally sensitive area. So on all the charts on the pages 618 through 635, awnings and double galleries, some of them were left on, some of them were left off. It was saying they were allowed or not allowed.
What's a double gallery? Is that two sides of sign?
Yes. So we just wanted to open it up and say that that's allowed, so you can. So, and Article 8.1, after this is one of Andre's comments, thinks that it should end with the word Hammond without reference to the city ordinance original number 2535, since that ordinance is being repealed. So after that, that's it. So.
All right. We're going to start with council questions on this item. Do we have any council input or questions?
I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
So, Josh, did these changes or recommended changes go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their consideration?
Just these? No, sir, these did not.
So, do we know if they have, if there's going to be any opposition from that group regarding these changes?
To be honest, I can't find anything on there that I would imagine them being adamantly opposed to, but that's always an option if you want to send these to them. So.
Yeah, I mean, if that's, I would think that if nothing else, we should have at least given them a chance to see the changes. Since they're going to approve and make the recommendation to the council, then they need to make the recommendation, Mr. President, what these 7 additions or changes to the document. I would think that would make sense.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Do we have any public questions, comments, input on this item? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Louise Bostick, 112 Elm Drive, Hammond. It's not in my notes, but this question of tree preservation, that sounds like something that I would particularly want to know more about. That would, I keep envisioning that beautiful oak orchard.
No, for any development that's over, any development that's a commercial development or a major subdivision development that you would imagine, the only exemptions are for if you're building a house and it's on your lot, you can take it down. Live oaks are protected across the board. But for other trees, if it's in your lot and it's a single-family lot, that's an exemption. So that's the only, we're just referencing that section.
Okay, so you're not really talking about live oaks?
No,
okay.
no.
All right, that just kind of sent a little chill down after what we went through out at the old mall. Couple of things. Was this 300-page document, I admit, I didn't get all the way through it. Didn't get very far through it. That was pretty hard to peruse in this amount of time, or ever. But I wondered if you addressed the issue that we've been talking about for a number of years of residency for control of rental property. We've been talking for a number of years about having a mandatory manager who lived in the area for rental properties to kind of avoid some of the issues that we have with absentee landlords who don't take care of their property and don't answer complaints and don't do a lot of things to observe our.
No, and I mean, to be honest, that's not addressed in here, but I don't know all the legalities of that either. If we could mandate that they live X amount distance.
I don't know. I know Atlanta has very strong policy. Waco, Texas, there are other major cities that do this, and I thought maybe you might have addressed
it. I don't know. I don't know the difference if there's different state laws or anything else that may vary from state to state. I'm not real sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Question next. In areas such as overlays or what has been called R11 or R8, there are minimum lot sizes so that those areas are protected. But in areas which were called R4 or R5, much smaller lot sizes were permitted and do exist. But there, in our ordinance for new developments, we mandated an average lot size of 65 feet. Is that still in the ordinance?
It varies from district to district. They can get denser the further down the number goes. R11 obviously being the biggest lots.
Yeah, that's what I said.
As you go down, right? As you go down, it gets smaller. And
So,
I think it ended up being a 40-foot minimum.
Oh, so you've
Yes.
gone back to the old
Yes.
and have thrown out the 65-foot protection for those neighborhoods who are less affluent, such in R4 and R5. Okay, I think that's unfortunate. All right.
Could you explain that a little bit more? Could you just say, Louise? I mean, Louise, what you were talking about.
Okay. In R11, you have a mandated lot size. They're large lots, and property values are high in those areas. R8 is also 65-foot minimum. But in R5, the old minimum was 50 feet. In R4, the old minimum was 40 feet. So you could buy a 100-foot lot in some of those areas, cut it in two and make two houses instead of one, and increase the density. And in a lot of those areas, the property is not terribly expensive, and you don't build the kinds of homes that you normally build in R11 and R8 or in some of the overlay districts. So there was a minimum lot size of 65 that was mandated about, shortly after Katrina. And that was my question. And they have thrown that out and gone back to the old R4 and R5 zoning. That was.
Do we know what the reasoning was behind that, Mr. Bresson?
Do I know the reason for that? Not exactly, outside of probably trying to squeeze in more lots, developable areas. So.
It's page 619, isn't it, Josh?
618.
618.
619 is the civic use. So.
The concern was that you would go into an area and buy individual lots and cut them in two. Not that you would buy 100 acres and divide that up in a new development. That was not so much the concern as going and making existing neighborhoods more dense. But I just was wondering.
Was that discussed at the planning and zoning? And what was the decision there?
In our work session, they bumped it up. It was at, I think, 30, and it came back, they wanted it minimums at 40, and so, yes, it was discussed at one of our work sessions.
Ralph's up there, he wants to make a comment on it.
Ralph Ross on the zoning commission. There were so many things discussed. I don't recall this actually coming up. I know that there was a large group in the city that fought long and hard to get that 65-foot average included. So in my mind, it probably was something that just inadvertently was left out. Certainly, I think it was a good idea. An awful lot of the citizens, we thought it was a good idea when it was introduced and put into the zoning, that the lot size is going to be less dense in R5 and R4, but to prevent somebody coming into a settled neighborhood, tearing down a house that was on 100 feet and then cutting it in half and squeezing two houses into it, there was the requirement that 50-foot lots were legal, but on average, they had to be 65 feet if you were adding new construction and that sort of thing. Seemed like a good idea. I don't remember.
It was definitely discussed. It was, because it was at 30 foot, the consensus was put it at 50.
I may have missed that meeting. I didn't miss many of them, but I didn't hear that concept.
I just would like to say, as a resident, I really feel that was a little bit underhanded in a 300-page document to do this without being a little bit more transparent in the process. Okay, and
I'm real confused as to how we have not been transparent.
okay.
Every meeting is right?
Yes.
I would fundamentally disagree with that from a grant's perspective, because if everybody remembers, all of this was funded through a grant, and we had multiple public hearings, we had multiple public meetings throughout the entire development of this project.
Up until about a year ago, I attended most of those. There was some discussion in the early planning stages regarding a minimum acreage for this mixed-use development. Was that ever established? I know that one time it was mentioned that you could have maybe 5 acres and do a mixed-use development on it, but it was not the intent.
Planned unit development?
Yeah.
We removed the minimum.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from the audience?
I do have a question, Mr. President. Andre, maybe a question for you. This is not something that the council adopts this, not approves it, is that correct? I want to know if there are certain things in the code that the council would like to change, is that allowed?
Yes.
Can we change that at this meeting, or, I mean, it seems to me like, the question that Ms. Bostic's brought up is something that, obviously in a 300-page document trying to find the needle in the haystack, and she's bringing that to our attention, I would like to really learn more about that piece of that discussion to make sure it's something that we really want to do. And Ralph, who sits on the board, is saying that he doesn't even recall that conversation happening. I would like to, make sure that we do due diligence and revisit that and make sure we're on board before we adopt a document, along with the fact that we're making 7 changes that we get about 30 seconds before the meeting and to vote on. I wish that we would have those things ahead of time.
Josh, if the council is to choose to table this, is that in the big scheme of things?
We've been
issue?
working on this thing for probably
so I think it's important you get it right.
a year or so.
And obviously, a lot of people did a lot of work, and I'm not trying to take that away.
I have no problems with that.
But,
No problems with that.
I would ask, though, if the council does choose to table it, and if the council would like for Josh or the Planning and Zoning Board to rehash something, let's be direct on what the council's directive is to Josh and to the board as to whether or not they should be reviewing something such as the minimum 65-foot lot, whatever, so that we don't come back in and then we have,
Go over it again.
keep going on.
I agree.
That's a good suggestion.
Well,
And I'm not suggesting table. I was just asking. I'm certainly up to the council, but
okay.
want to make sure I know.
Whenever we
understand.
get to the item in the agenda, it'll be the council's pleasure at what they do. Since y'all want to bring everything back and hash it out, and so that everything is on the table, I can tell you, and Mr. Ralph is not going to be a fan, after I attended the Planning and Zoning Board meeting when they made some changes, but I am not in favor of the trash can adjustment, which requires a certain size container and removing it from the street by a certain time, or you can be fined by the building department. That's pushing my limits a little bit. So we're not Covington. I'm in Hammond, Louisiana, and I'm proud to be here. So I'm not looking to be Covington or Slidell or anybody else. So I will ask that be removed at that time. Yes, sir.
Can I just say a word about that? That
You
language,
need to come up
Eight.
with something for the record.
That would be
Ralph
8-9.
Ross, 505 East Rocket Street, a member of the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment. And that particular item was a pet project of mine to get it incorporated. And of course, you can say we're not Covington. I don't know that we should draw any pride from that. But that language is adopted from Ponchatoula. Now, maybe you think, we're more of a podunk place than Ponchatoula, but to me, it's as simple as this, that people leaving trash cans on the street perpetually trashes up the neighborhood. I don't see any other way to look at it. So that's why I fought to have that in there. But it's the city council's decision.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Can I address that?
Yes, sir.
Not a report, I won't quote myself.
Give your name.
Kane, Hammond, Louisiana. I was here before most of you were here. I've been here about 15 years covering this meeting. This was hotly debated about this garbage can thing. Nicky Muscarella, that was one of his better pieces of legislation. And he had a very good point. Sometimes trash cans, especially with wind blowing like the last few days, would blow out in the streets, and people, even in Villa West, refused to pick up their trash cans for 2 or 3 days. It's ugly, it's not attractive in the city, and I'm very proud of Hammond, and not from Covington or Ponchatoula. But I think, if anything, we should make controlling garbage and its containers more strict than what we have now. That's just my opinion, and I think that would be a consensus of the Keep Hammond Beautiful Committee. So I don't know exactly, I'm like Dr. Bostic, no, I could read 300 pages of that document. But this council debated that garbage can issue. Like I said, you were probably still a teenager then. and it was agreed that we had to have some kind of regulation to make people pick up their garbage cans. And not at one time it was even yet, you couldn't put it out before a certain time, right? You couldn't put it out before, I think, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but you had to have it picked up by 9 in the morning, which seemed a bit excessive. But I think that garbage, we need to control our garbage. If you don't believe it, ride around the city. And I'm sure the mayor will announce we'll be having it cleaned up soon. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One more word about that. All the language that's being proposed says is shall not be left on the curb for an unreasonable period of time.
Thanks, Rick.
Mr. Ralph.
I would be, with our attorney here, Mr. Coudrain, that could be debated a long time about what the definition of reasonable is. And the other thing is I encourage anybody to go take a look at Lowe's or any other home improvement store and take a look at the size of a 25-gallon garbage can and see what you can fit in there.
That's the existing language. That is not a change. That's what City Council approved long ago. I would agree with you. It probably should be larger. The only change is that the cans have to be removed from the street. They can't be left there for an unreasonable period of time.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
And as far as reasonableness, don't put stuff like that in there, then lawyers' families are going to starve.
That was good, Ralph.
Job security.
Any other questions, comments, or jokes? All right, hearing none, we'll move right into our regular meeting for January 7, 2014. Roll call, please.
Johnny Blunt.
Here.
Jason Hood.
Here.
Bobby Martin.
Here.
Lamar Marshall.
Here.
Mike Williams.
Here. Okay, item on the agenda is election of officers. So this is where we'll make some changes in our folks here. Do we have a nomination for a president?
Yes, I make a motion that Mr. Bobby Martin be our president of the council for 2014.
Second.
Vote, please.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Okay, do we have a nomination for vice president?
Mr. President, I nominate Johnny Blunt for Vice President.
Second.
Vote, please.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
All right, Mr. President, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And before you leave, we want to make a presentation to our former president, done an excellent job.
Just like that.
And
That's right.
yes, and it reads, Councilman Jason C. Hood, in recognition for your outstanding service and contributions to the city of Hammond as president of the Hammond City Council, 2013. Councilman Robert Martin, Mike Williams, Lamar Marshall, Johnny Blunt, and Mayor Mason H. Fawcett. We thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Okay.
It's all yours, sir.
Thank you kindly.
Oh, sure.
Just like that.
Just like that.
I get my coffee.
Transition. All right.
Which was this next?
Okay. All right, let me see where we are here. Right. Okay. We are blessed to have with us to do prayer, Elder Vernon Allen. Please come forward, please.
Before I go to prayer, I want to say this is a privilege and honor, and some of us that are citizens, when you had this board up here, we kind of think about what they're going through. And a lot of times when you're in leadership position, it might not look like they know they're doing. Some things might be favorable, some things might not be. But the bottom line is, I do know the mayor personally, I know my Bobby and Lamar personally. All these people do have the best interest in this city. And I really think they do an excellent job. So I'd like to give them applause before I even go any further. You can bow your head. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I ask now that you give wisdom and knowledge in this meeting, Lord. Let you give us fresh ideas to make this city and this area even better, God. We thank you now, Lord, just for what you're going to do with this board and with the citizens. We thank you now for taking all the negative out of here and putting positive in here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
And now we will have little Taryn Perry Jr. of Woodland Park School to come do our pledge of allegiance.
Mr. President, he do it by himself with the hair in?
Okay. Where's the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, are there any council reports?
Mr. President, I do have a report. I don't know if I should bring it up now, but since we were talking about it, we've been working on Hook Drive for the last several weeks regarding some of the issues with the residents. And I thank Mayor Forrest and his team for their quick response on some of the changes that we made. But one of the big things we were talking about has been trash. And it's kind of funny that came up before my council report. But through the help of Buddy Ridgedale and our trash disposal company, they've agreed to do a pilot program on Hook Drive to provide trash cans with lids so that we can create a more uniform process of picking up trash and hopefully minimizing debris after trash pickup and trying to hopefully improve the quality or the appearance of the city after we pick up trash. And so I met with Buddy and I met with the mayor, and we thought it was something that we would take a look at now because we're up for contract renewal in August, and we wanted to pilot this area for the next several weeks to see the good and bad, what happens and how it impacts the city. So I asked, I talked to Mayor Foster about it earlier this week, and I asked Buddy to come out to talk to the council about what we're trying to get done. So if you don't mind, Buddy, would you mind coming up and address the council?
We've identified, I think, 69 customers. This street is a combination of apartments and residents, and a progressive garbage contractor, the one who works for the city, is going to supply the cans. They're going to start on January the 21st, which is 2 weeks from today. That side of town is a Tuesday, Friday pickup. It's the same size can if you're familiar with the ones in the rural areas. Those 90-gallon containers, good, solid, easy to roll, nice solid lids, hard to turn over. And we're going to do this once a week. They're going to do it on the Tuesday pickup. So those residents will just have Tuesday. They won't get a Friday, because we want to see how the 90 gallons is supposed to suffice for a week. We want to try that because, as Councilman Marshall said, we're in the last year of our contract. If you guys want to look at options on comparing ways to do it, save money, improve the service, just give us an option to check this out for a little while on a street that we know we have some challenges with. And, but we think it's going to be a good program. We're going to be getting, the cans should be delivered next week. I think Councilman Marshall and with our assistance, if you need us to, will make sure that all the residents are contacted and be well aware ahead of time exactly what's going on. So, and we'll let you guys know how it worked out.
Their pickup day is to be on
Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yes, sir.
Yeah, and there are 3 major landlords. I've contacted the landlords, and we're going to meet to review it. And a part of the process also, Mr. President, is we're going to try to do some surveys, get some feedback, what you like, what you don't like, see if we can create some processes that we can then duplicate throughout the city. And if we want to test another area, we'll have more time between February and August to say, well, let's look at another area and see how that does over here. And if we're able to do that, we might be able to save some money, improve the quality of the trash service and the appearance of the city, and save Mr. Couvillon from having to go out on Saturdays to pick up trash, because after a trash pickup, the debris is sometimes, overwhelming. So that's what we're looking at. So I'll keep you posted on how we do on that. Thanks for coming.
Councilman, Hooks Drive borders my district. I just want to thank you for that effort, because it's been atrocious for a long time.
Right.
So I hope this works. It seems pretty simple to me, put the trash in a can, put everybody, but hopefully it works. It's been bad for a long time. So.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate your support on that.
Any other council reports? Are there any new businesses in town?
I have some stuff, Mr. President.
Skip the mayor report.
Well, excuse me, Mayor.
No problem. And since Mr. Vick did call on me, I better go ahead and announce the cleanup day, since we're talking about trash. There will be a cleanup day on Saturday, January 18th, beginning at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., meeting at the Hoover Schwegmans Building. And we have a handout for the council members. A couple other things, Mr. President, to the public. We did get our sales tax collections, and they were very good. These are sales for the month of November. And sales tax collections were up 5.72%. Total collections, $1,476,532. A couple other things, if I could, please. I would like to commend Lacey and her staff for getting another grant, Keep Hammond Beautiful grant. Vic, some more money coming in, $1,500 for the Keep Hammond Beautiful project, and there will be a litter-thon on April the 11th of this year. So we'll have more information about that. Also, we received notice from the Office of Community Development that they have audited all of our work on the Gustav Ike Disaster Recovery Comprehensive Resiliency Program project, and they found no findings on the audit report. And there was a finding of merit that the city was diligent in promoting fair housing for its occupants. So, Lacey, good job on all of that. I want to mention to everybody, particularly those that might be listening at home, and we talked about this on the radio yesterday, that the fire department actually has some smoke alarm detectors. In these cold weather times, it's really a dangerous situation for people that don't have smoke alarms. These smoke alarms, we were able to obtain them through a grant, and we will give them out free. If someone needs a smoke alarm, they can call the Fire Prevention Office at 277-5858. And if there's someone who needs a smoke alarm who does not have the capacity to put it up, under the grant, we can put it up for them. So we want the council and the public to know that. The other item we have is that we do have a renewal period coming up. Keep talking about garbage and trash. The renewal period for our garbage is here, and the garbage fee goes up by the cost of the CPI under the 5-year contract that we have. The CPI was an increase of 1.7%. So effective with the next billing, our garbage will go from $12.03 to $12.24. That includes garbage pickup and recycling. And I'll remind the council and the public that this is still less than we were paying when we originally went into this contract 4.5 years ago. I think that's it, Mr. President.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, are there any new businesses in town? Right. Well, if none, let's go into approval of minutes.
So moved. Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood. Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Okay, any resolutions? No resolutions. Old business? None. New business? Okay. Number one, a resolution to authorize the purchase of combat equipment for the police department. Chief Duval.
Any additional questions, John?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood. Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Okay, number two, a resolution to approve a contract between the City of Hammond and C. Britton Sledge III for services as an assistant city attorney at a contract price of $50,000 per year. Andre Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Congratulations on your election, members of the council. I'm pleased to come before you involving a matter with the assistant city attorney. Many of you all know Brad Berner, who's done an outstanding job as assistant city attorney, and they handle prosecutions in Hammond City Court and matters before the Civil Service Board. Brad's taken a new position in his legal career, and because of that, he's resigned his position as assistant city attorney. Under the city charter, the assistant city attorney serves under me as the city attorney. It's under my appointment and serves as my assistant for prosecuting in civil court and with civil service matters. Under that authority, I have appointed Britton Sledge, who's here tonight. I'll introduce him to you shortly, as Brad's replacement. So Britton would be handling city prosecuting matters in civil court, in city court, and matters before the Civil Service Board. Since this involves a contract, best practices involving attorneys would suggest that you have a contract with your attorney for legal services, as you had with me and as we had with Brad Berner. So we prepared a contract very similar in form to mine, similar in form to what we had for Brad for his services. Because that's an annual contract that exceeds $25,000, we're asking for your approval for that contract. The contract for Britton is for $50,000, a flat fee contract for his work, slightly less than what we had paid Brad, because Brad came to office with more experience than what Britton did. Of course, that's subject to review as it comes time up for budget. So you have before you, which you should have been hyperlinked, the form of the contract for Britton for legal services, which he'll provide on your behalf, on behalf of the city in Hammond City Court and before the Civil Service Board. I want to say Brad Berner had done an outstanding job as city prosecutor. He represented us well, did a great job. Britton, I strongly believe, will do a similar good work in Hammond City Court and before the Civil Service Board. Britton is a Hammond guy, went to Hammond High School, graduated from LSU Law School, practices law in Hammond, is also an assistant district attorney named Meade. It was critically important for me to have someone who's got prosecuting experience. And Britton has that, he brings that to this job, and he'll service it. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about Britton's appointment, about the legal services contract, and also I want to introduce you to Britton Sledge. I would ask if Britton wants to say a few words, and to have him also available to answer any questions you all might have.
Thank you, Mr. Coudrain. I would like to correct you, though. I actually think I'm coming to this appointment with more experience than Brad Berner had when he first started, but I'll take the discount rate to begin with. I am a lifelong Hammond resident. I know a lot of you on the board and in the administration. Lived throughout my life. This is actually my wife, Erica, who's come to join me tonight. We both still live in Hammond, and I am a practicing civil attorney here in Hammond. I work with the law firm of Rolling, Pearlman and Sledge. I also have been an assistant district attorney, been prosecuting for Scott Pearlman's DA's office since 2007. I handle only felony matters, pretty serious crimes in a meet, but I filled in for Brad many times over the past years whenever he's had some kind of conflict and couldn't be there. So I'm pretty familiar with the functioning of the Hammond City Court I've prosecuted in front of Judge Gasaway and worked with Mr. Guy Ricotta in doing that. So hopefully it'll be a seamless transition. Brad has done a great job. Followed him and helped him out with Hammond City Court in the past. So I do know that he's done a great job, and hopefully I'll be able to follow his footsteps and also work with Mayor Foster and kind of, I know that he has a pretty transparent office here, and hopefully we can do that with the city court as well on the prosecuting end of it. Hopefully, one of the many tasks that I won't have up there will be prosecuting the residents of Hammond for failing to pick up their trash cans in time. Hopefully that's something we can avoid, and hopefully we can get those picked up. But I think that's it. If anybody has any questions for me.
Guy told me that he informed you or filled you in on Brad time.
That is one of the things I hope to change. I hopefully living here in Hammond and working here in Hammond also, we can make it Britain time and be a little bit earlier than Brad time.
Discuss the expertise thing, the experience thing. That'd be fun to watch all get out of it.
Yeah. I think we can. So.
What's the pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you, and let me, and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Let me say, Brad's going to stay on for a brief transition for a couple of sessions in city court, and we're just going to pay him on a per-hour basis, so it's still the net effect will be below the budget that you all have already appropriated for this position.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. And number 3, a resolution to approve the renewal of the contract between the City of Hammond and Gushner McCray, LLC, to provide auditing services to the city for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2014 and June 30th, 2015, under the same terms and conditions as the present contract. Ernest Peters.
Yes, good evening to the council and to all. We are coming to bring to the council the resolution for the renewal of the contract, to renew the contract for additional 2 years with Kushner LaGraze. And they've been with us now the past 3 years, and from all of our audits, we've been getting very good reports, so therefore we'd like to continue service with them.
Are there any questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. President.
Second.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Thank you, sir. Number 4, a resolution to reappoint Shelley Robinson to the Downtown Development District Board representing the major assets property owners for a 2-year period ending December 31st, 2015. Mason Foster.
The next 2 items are reappointments to the Downtown Development Board. The 2 people that we have up for renomination have done an outstanding job, have been very diligent in their efforts in improving the downtown development area. So at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce into nomination the name of Shelley Robinson, and she is representing and has been nominated by the major assessed property owners for a 2-year period ending December 31st, 2015, I guess. Yeah. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Johnny Blunt.
Aye.
Jason Hood.
Aye.
Bobby Martin.
Aye.
Lamar Marshall.
Aye.
Mike Williams.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Okay, number 5, a resolution to reappoint Pierre Thierret to the Downtown Development District Board representing the East Side property owners for a 2-year period ending December 31st, 2015. Mayor.
Pierre Thierret has been an outstanding member of the board. He has agreed to a reappointment time of 2 years. Thierret is in the audience tonight if anyone has any questions. But it's an honor for me to reappoint Pierre Thierret with the approval of the council to the DDD board for 2 years for the period extending through December 31st, 2015.
Motion to approve.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood. Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Want to make a speech, Pierre?
Final adoptions of ordinance, new business. Number one, final adoption of an ordinance to transfer $31,680 from court awarded fund to account number 100200100-540167 to purchase combat equipment for the police department.
So moved.
Second.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood. Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion approved.
Okay. Number two, final adoption of an ordinance to adopt the Unified Development Code, UDC, and to repeal all ordinances in conflict therewith. PC 2013-5-1, recommended approval by Planning, Zoning Commission, and Board of Adjustment.
Mr. President, I would recommend that we move that we table this number two. And to add to that, that we would have the additions that was introduced tonight by Josh to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their approval or review and evaluation, along with a list of recommended reevaluations of different ordinances from the council. Probably, I would say, we can have a week to get that to Josh. We have a week to get any changes that we want to have reevaluated to Josh to go back before the council.
Johnny Blunt. Jason Hood. Bobby Martin. Lamar Marshall. Mike Williams. Motion to table approved.
Okay. Old business, none. Introduction of ordinance and set of public hearings, none. Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Thank you, folks, for coming.